My iPhone is my main camera for photography, and I have been upgrading to the latest iPhones every year just for the camera. Here are the settings that has helped me take great pictures with my iPhone. I'm gonna show these settings and what they mean on the iPhone 16 Pro Max, which I have right here. My phone runs iOS 18, so not all of these settings will be available on older iPhones, but you should still see most of them on older models. Let's get to the settings. The first setting is to enable your iPhone to take RAW pictures. So if I go into settings, and then I go into camera, and then in here you will see formats over here. If I tap on it, and then you will see this option for ProRAW and resolution control over here. It's a toggle. Once you turn this toggle on, you can go into the formats menu right below it, and in here you could pick what kind of image quality you would want. I go for the maximum, which is ProRAW Max up to 48 megapixel, and then I do JPEG XL lossy. One thing to consider is that if you enable ProRAW, you will eat up space on your phone. These photos can go up to 100 megabytes in size, so just be aware of that. Once you have enabled ProRAW, if you go into the camera, on the top right hand corner, you would see this RAW Max thing over here, which basically means the picture you're going to take is going to be of RAW format. And then you can always toggle it on and off here, just by tapping it. Just two things to note is that if you are taking a RAW picture, you can't take a live photo or you can't add photographic styles. Just one thing before we go into the next setting, this RAW mode is only available on the Pro iPhones. So a base 16 iPhone will not have this setting. The second setting I want to show you is if I go into the settings app, and then if I go into the camera section again, and then I scroll all the way to the bottom, I could enable the grid. It's under this section called composition, and then if you turn the grid on, you see this grid of like 9 equal sizes. These grid lines will help you frame your shots when you take them. This can help you get your horizons in level and assist in getting your rule of thirds right. The third setting that I want to show you again is to enable the level. This is right below the grid setting that you just changed. So you see this toggle here for level, you can turn it off and on, and when you turn your level on, if I go to the camera app again, you would see a level indicator on the middle of the viewfinder, which will help you align the shots and ensure that they are straight. The next setting I want to show you is macro control. So again, if you go into the settings app and then go to the camera section, which I'm already in here anyway, and if I scroll further down, you would see this macro control setting. So basically what this means is, ever since the iPhone 13 Pro and later models, the iPhone lets you shoot in macro thanks to the ultra wide lens. This turns on automatically when you're really close to a subject, but this can get in the way of your photo shoots. So if you do want to control this, you can basically turn this on or off. I like to keep this on because it gives me more control on when macro should be on versus when it should be off. The next thing I want to show you are photographic styles. Photographic styles are exclusive to the iPhone 16 series of iPhones. Before photographic styles, on an iPhone 13, 14 or the 15, you got camera presets, which only gave you like 4 different options of styles that you could apply to your pictures. But with the 16, there's loads more. Again, if I go to the settings app and then go to the camera section, right at the top, you'll see this photographic styles thing on an iPhone 16. If I tap on that, it will tell you what the photographic styles are. So once you click get started, it will let you select 4 pictures just to show you a demo of how these styles will be once they are applied. I'm just going to pick 4 pictures here. And then when I click continue, it will show you a basic demo of how these styles will look. So you can swipe through them and take a look at the different styles which are available on your iPhone 16 or later. And when you click continue, you have more customizable options on this grid where you can move your finger around and then see how much of a style you want applied. When you're happy with what you see, just click save and continue. So now when you go to the camera app, at this top, you would see this photographic styles icon. So if you tap on it, and then you could change the style however you would want. Just one thing, this does not shoot in RAW. Remember the first thing I told you about RAW images? This just shoots in JPEG or whatever you set your setting to. And if you do not like editing your pictures, this is like the best thing you can do. On a side note, when Apple introduced the iPhone 16 series last September, the main feature was the camera control button on the side of the phone. But for me personally, my favorite feature of the iPhone 16 as somebody who upgrades to the latest iPhone just because of the camera are these photographic styles. There are so many different varieties of style here that you will definitely like something. You could set a preset and then you do not have to worry about editing photos later. Plus, unlike the presets on older iPhones, the new ones can be changed or edited after taking the photo, which is simply great. The next setting I want to show you is view outside the frame. Again, if you go to the settings app and then to the camera section, in here on the composition section, you could see view outside the frame. This is a setting on an iPhone 11 or later. In here, the camera user interface will show you content outside the frame to show what you can capture using another lens with a wilder field of view. This is turned on by default, and I personally like to keep it that way, but it can get distracting at times, and if it does, you can turn it off in settings. The next setting I want to show you is how to save your settings. Again, go to settings. In here, in the camera section, again, you would see this thing called preserve settings. If you go in there, it has so many options. So you got camera mode, controls, photographic styles, creative controls, depth control, etc, etc, etc. Right, you got loads here. Basically what this means is, if you have a setting turned on and then the next time you come to the camera app, you do want that setting turned on. For me personally, I've kept photographic style on. So if I go to the camera app here and then I've got photographic styles turned on here, right? So that's off and that's on. And then if I wanna, I don't know, pick vibrant as my style, go back, do something else, and then come back to the camera app and then go into photographic styles again, vibrant would be turned on for me. I don't have to manually go back and turn it on. This is what this setting does. So have a play with the settings app, and then in this section, just know what you always use or do not like to use. And you can keep it turned on or off, so you don't have to keep coming back to the camera app doing it manually. That's all the settings done, but I'm going to give you 2 more points so you can get better at taking pictures. Follow me on Instagram, or don't, it's up to you, but follow people that inspire you to take great pictures. Again, if I go into Instagram, onto my profile, I have more tips and stuff in here. So, have a look, critique my work, all that. This doesn't have to be me. Follow anybody or have a look at anyone's work that you really like. Be inspired. So that's how you get to be a good photographer. The last tip I can give you is learn to edit your pictures. Most of the pictures you see on my Instagram are all edited. Editing is a separate skill to taking pictures. Remember the first setting I spoke about? Enabling RAW. When you enable RAW pictures, it gives you much more bandwidth to edit your pictures. So only enable that if you're going to edit your pictures. If not, just stick to photographic styles and take your own photo. But if you want to take your photography to the next level, just learn to edit your pictures. I've got Lightroom here. I pay for Lightroom, but you can always get away with the free version. Or if you don't want to use the Lightroom app, you can always look for other alternatives on the App Store, like Darkroom, for example, or just use the editing controls on the Photos app. Just learn to do a bit of editing, and that will help your photos stand out. That's it for this video. If you liked what you saw, hit subscribe. If you have any comments, let me know. If you have other tips that I have missed, I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.